All right, all you devils out there, Sam here with you. Oh, here we are. It's just afternoon now here on on Friday the 5th here. So, of course, we're going to look at Bitcoin. Thought also we'd take a look at Litecoin and I'll show you some things in Motive Wave just to kind of demonstrate that again. We'll look at it both here. So we'll start here with Bitcoin. So this is an 8-hour on Bitstamp. Oh, I think we've been over the daily count enough here, so I don't think we need to revisit that. So for the bull count, working off of the premise that the 4 is in down here, right? So now we're trying to deal with what's come off of that. Well, we seem to have hit a bit of a stall here that, question mark here as I've got it here, is the 2 in here? Is this our 2? Get rid of that here. Just the idea, right? Question mark. Is it here, right? Are we done? Well, not much, not the kind of start off of that's 1, 2. That's not the launch you'd look for. So we're just going to kind of push this off to the side for a second now. A couple of things are happening here as we've stalled here. And of course, we've had the little freak out liquidation wicks. We've had a couple of them here. Now, it doesn't show quite the same here on an 8-hour. But I think what's pretty striking is what's happening up here. So you will note here how this price action looks very similar to this price action here, where we had this. Here we get kind of stuck between the B pivot high. Remember something I always will try and emphasize here. Remember the B is always a push to try and get to the stops at that high that fails, right? That's why it turned out to the C, right? And that's why that's one of the trades we want you to specialize in, particularly as you're working through our belt system in the purple belt, right? It's 50 trades, 3s or C's only, right? To get you to focus on that. Very similar, right? Same thing. Here's the B high, right? So from the pivot high to the B high, we get that little range. Sitting as potential support. Same thing here. Now this has become kind of a stall point. Well, of course here, right? Here's the classic. We're off to the moon, right? I think we had, about a 9.5K sell-off from the breakout. I won't dwell on that. I think I've spoken to that enough. Terrible place to enter the market. But now, as we come back towards it, do we look any better here? Well, we're going to kind of pick that apart and see if indeed it would make sense here. Should we come back and push towards that high to break another? Pardon me, it wouldn't be the high. We'd have to break towards this high to get a new all-time high. As we come back towards that, are we looking any better? Well, we'll take a quick look there. Well, so there's a couple of things here before we look at a bearish alternate here to consider with regards to this count by the fact that we're stalling. I think there's 2 things we have to consider, and I'm just going to kind of draw these in rather than go through full mock-ups on these. So right now, as it sits, we're working through the idea that it's 1, 2, and then we're now perhaps the 2, right? It remains to be seen. Even if we came a little bit lower, I mean, if we come down, the assumption is that we're still in this trend, right? And it's just a matter of now when we find a pivot here that inevitably taking out that low is on deck. Well, as we stall here, let's go down to a 4-hour. Let's kind of, I think, emphasizes this a bit more. Now, I'm going to come out of log scale. And you see, right, which would make sense, of course. As we stall here, the high volume node that's being created here, so we're factoring in here because this is visible range. We're factoring in the stall time up here, and now the stall time up here. So we're getting really a decent base here that you might deduce from that. Oh, well, from this base, I've got a good launching ramp. Well, I wouldn't argue with that. That's very true, but in terms of pattern recognition, is this the start we want? Right? Again, we'll look at that in a little more detail. But I think the alternate we have to consider here there's really 2 of them in here because of the fact that we're stalling here. Well, so one is that we've gone 1, 2, and this is actually the 3. Now, if that were the case, then we have a clear invalidation level for this because we've got an impulse here and we've got an impulse here. So if we break this pivot, then that count would be invalidated, right? You could just take that off the board of possibilities. But if it's not, and we're going to retrace here but stay above this pivot high, we can't eliminate the possibility that we've gone 1, 2, 3, and we're going to go into a 5 here. Now, the invalidation point here would be equally as precise in that if we're going to plant the 3 up here, we know without any exception here that we couldn't label it that way should this wave be longer than this wave, right? Remember, 3 doesn't have to be the longest, just can't be the shortest. So we could have the extension in the 1, 2, 3. This is just ugly, right? Because of those liquidation wicks here, but it's still a possibility we have to consider. So keep that in mind as an alternate, right? And always the idea is to have multiple. So if it was me, I'm going to show you multiple alternates. So there's 3 bull counts and then a couple of bear counts, and I would keep them separated. So on one on screen here, I'd have a 3 pack here, and I'd have all 3 bullish counts, and then I'd have at least 2 bear counts. So you're prepared based on what the market does. 1, 2, 3, 4, possible, right? Can't rule it out. The other bullish alternate here is because we're stalling here, this whole thing is starting to look a bit 4-ish. So how we would fit that in, if that were the case, is that much like here, we'd have an extension in the 1. I would give this the lowest probability, but we can't eliminate it. This is 1, 2. This could be the 3, and we're working on the 4 here. So we'd have a massive extension in the 3rd. Could be, right? If we're in here, right? Could be that this has got another leg into it. But 1, 2, bigger 3, right? You can see the count could be there. Right, we're kind of working from the last 5 here and working backwards. Right now, it would be unusual for the 3 to extend that much beyond. I mean, we'd be way, way, way beyond the 2, 6, 1, 8. So it would be unusual, which is why I wouldn't call that your primary, or it might. Well, I guess I'd be more specific. Why it's not my primary. But you got to recognize the possibility. 1, 2, big 3. This now, as we hover and the trend stalls, as we work from this base, that we could come out of here and kick towards the 5. Right. So then let's see if I can find them up here. Then, where are you? Oh, shit, can't even find it. I want this 3. Where are you? Come here. Oh, God, what are you doing up here? Come here. Jesus. Edit that out. So then we'd have this. Right, so if it's 1, 2, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we're still seeking this 3. Now for bulls, that might be more palatable based on what comes out of here, right? Assuming we're not going lower. If we're going to go again, 1, 2. Let me take that off here now. Now that I've got that kind of identified here, let's get rid of that wave. Okay, so 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So how would that work? So if this is the 1, right, and I think we wicked some of this off last week. There's the 2, right? So the most probable location here would be right here, and let's just wick that off here. We'll put our little high probability zone right here for that 3 relative to this 1, 2. Well, if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's another 5 up here. So let me just draw that in here. I know you can't see the subdivision here. We'll get there in a second. But if this is 3 and we were working on the 4, somewhere in this range, could be here, right? Now we come up to the 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gives us our impulse into the 3rd for our. Again, Link says it has to stop there. That's just the most probable location to find it. So we'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now here, right, if you look at it out of log, it's not terrible. I mean, that's definitely, of all the assets, right, an extension in the 3rd for Bitcoin, right, would make sense to me. It's not like the look is disproportionately, right, just unacceptable, right? So I would consider that a possibility. We've been so focused on 1, 2, 1, 2 and trying to rationalize, oh, well, it's going to be a shallow 2, right? Going to be a shallow 2. I mean, these if you're long, whether it's the 3, 4, 5 into the 3 or 1, 2, I mean, these are high-class problems, right? If you're currently long. If you're looking for additional places to enter, boy, that's, call me picky. That's not good enough for me. I don't know what we're doing there, right? Well, all we're doing is going sideways, and I'm not going to be buying the breakout, right? I just never do it. So Now, oh God, I mean, this is ugly to try and turn this into anything impulsive, but there's, Joe, we'll go down to a lower time frame and take a look at it here. But I would keep those both in mind. I mean, the key pivot here is coming up here to 78.2, right? Well, that's our 1618 off of this idea. Much of this will depend on what comes off of here and which direction we go. But I would, the two of those being very real possibilities that you would want to keep in mind. Oh, I suppose the geometry here, if I were going to draw this one in, if this is 1 and we're going to hold as the 2 here, if this is going to play as the 2, well, now that starts to line up pretty nicely. 1, 2. We're going to get a big 3 here. We're going to go up higher because, of course, you'd have a different 1618, 175 zone for this. All right, we get that right on that. If it's 1, 2, 1, 2, well, of course, the 3 up here would be what you're looking for off of this. So then, now think what that does, right? So if it's 1, 2, and we're looking for pardon me, if it's 1, 2, and we're looking for a big 3 here, well, then this 3, oh, let's see. So this 3 likely goes up here. Now we're at the 2618. Now you're looking at this 4. So you got to look at it and say, well, how would we get there, right? Well, so let's see if we can put that together. Oh, this probably have to go off a tad. Something along like that. Now look where we are. Now we're December of 2022. But you again, just draw it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Obviously, that's going to come up higher. Now we're well over 100K. And then the subdivision within that, right? It's not wacky. 4, 5. So we look at that internal, right? Pretty good. Now this one, this would be massive, right? To get, let's see, am I getting? So we'd be, if this is 1, 2, we'd be well over the 3. We're looking for the 3618 up here, which I don't even have on there, right? But you can just look, if that's 327, 3618 is going to be somewhere in that box. So not outrageous, right? It's really not, right? Just using the wave relationships that are typical, right? I'm not doing anything atypical here. So very valid roadmap to get up here to crack 100. I mean, shit, we could do it before the end of the year. A lot of people think that's what's coming, right? Bitcoin is well known for being most bullish towards the end of the year. December is the big month. So hang on to your hats, right? It's still very possible. Very possible. Okay, so there's your bull point. All right, now before we get overly excited, you have to look at the bear count, right? Because it's just you can't ignore it, right? Oh shit! Now I gotta find it. Oh, hang on. That's where we're going next. Here's the one I want you to see. Okay, so let's look at this one. Oh, what are you doing up there? You can go leave. Okay, so here we'll hide this. Okay, so just looking at this. Well, all I've done is kind of highlight this fact that we've done this. Now, you can almost feel it, right? So I mean, it doesn't have to do. I mean, it could do it as a triangle, but the fact that we're stalling here. So when you look at it at this distance, this is the Brave New Coin Index, where I can only look daily. 1, 2, 3. Well, the labeling I have on here well, it could go WXY, right? So this is a function of what comes off of this, or it could be, if it were to play as a triangle, we'd need a 3 here. So we need the ABC into this 3, 3, 3, 3. That's what we'd be looking for. So you can't, or of course, this could be a variation of a flat, right? We certainly have the distance here. If this is going to hold, because you can certainly see how this could be interpreted just as a straight 3. Right now, what are we coming off of that? Right? Are we getting 5? Are we getting 3? Are we getting 3 like this, where you'd be thinking, oh, hey, maybe the triangle is what we're going to get before we go higher? I mean, it all implies that this now being our new all-time high is inevitably going to be taken out, right? So, and I would be the first to say, I'd be first in line with my hand up saying, just a matter of time, not a matter of if. That said, I don't want to be blindly bullish up here, because just looking at this, right? So if you have just a little Wyckoff, or well, shit, it doesn't even need to be Wyckoff specific, you can see the stall here and the little turtle head, right, that fails. Careful about assuming too much here, right? the market will reveal itself here, right? But I would just be careful about the relentless bullish enthusiasm here when you don't really have a good setup. This is just not a great place to be a buyer. So let me, even if I just kind of zoom in on this, I'm just kind of working off of prior structure here. So these are wicks. This here, I was looking for, okay, that's just wick. Now we come down and we test it here. And now this distance here, it kind of looks a little bit more so to where you could see that alternate I was talking about. Now, just quickly going back towards the bull count, right? You can see how this could be, right, the start of the 5 that we'd be looking for here. It wouldn't actually, I mean, if you did it at this scale, you wouldn't necessarily kill this, right? Because you'd be looking for 5 here. So just approach with caution, right? Just don't be blindly bullish. I'm as bullish as anyone long term, but the trade pattern here is not ideal. It's not, right? You can see the little ABC right there, right? Now, what do we got coming off of this? This could play 1, 2, big 3, little 4. So the 2 and the 4, there would be comparable time and distance there. So you could really see it. But again, it wouldn't kill. Oh, let's see if I put it this way. And we bring that on. Now we're right to the 50. We've hit first, so there would be second algo target. Wouldn't kill it. Oh, and then what I just had on there. Oh, got you. Oh, that's the big one. This is the one I just had on there. All right, so we're just putting a channel on this. You can kind of see, right, here's the, so if we're just talking a little rudimentary Wyckoff, right, little up thrust. Spring, whatever you want to call it, right? So essentially what it is it's breakout bait, right? You know, there was a lot of buying there. Now, they're not so far underwater here that likely a long-term hodler is not freaking out here, but boy, it's not going to take much. If we start to come down here, if this starts to get ugly and we start to sell off a little bit, we break. So here's the prior resistance that held here as the support, whether you're tracking off of this pivot or some of this structure here. I mean, certainly the closest structure here is what you would key off of. But if we start down, right? Careful about assuming that everything is just a retrace. Now, that said, we kind of need a retrace. I was talking about this in the live stream this week, right? You kind of want this, right? If you're a bull, I need, it's like drawing the bow, right? You got to pull the bow before you can get the release, right? So it's the same thing here, right? You want this down so we can get to this. Right, think of it that way, drawing the bow. Now, I got to release here because the market just is not, it's just the way the market moves. It's not going to just go little and just go and go and go, right? There's just too much temptation to take profit. All the people that caught this are sitting up here going, well, shit, where do I put my stop? Boy, I hope that doesn't sell off, because the ones that are long here, and if it's retail, of course, they thought we were off to 100K. Careful. So I'd prefer it to come down, because then I would know where I was, right? At least give me something technical. I mean, at least give me this, right? If I'm looking for the next entry, I'll just work off of this pivot because it was we know the algorithms used it, right here, right? So you can kind of see that, right? Oh boy, if that comes back down and we get it in the right structure, would be a place of interest. Now let me hide this again and just show you what I did, which I do this frequently. It's just a good thing to look at here. Now, I've drawn this so to really emphasize to your eye this consolidation that we're in with this massive amount of volume here. Oh, let's see here. I'm going to hide that one as well. So here, all I did was I just took the swing low to the swing high and just drew the volume profile, and then I highlighted the value area, saying, okay, well, if this is going to come down, where can I anticipate? Well, if I go swing low, swing high, look at the high volume node here, right at the golden zone, and look where that is in relation to the value area of this swing from low to high. So if we come down here in a 3, right, so we've got to start on it, right? We come down here something like this. Now, looking at this, knowing how Bitcoin responds at the golden zone, looking at this prior structure, that's a trade that would be of interest, right? You would just call that an area of interest. You got it here, and you got the algo pattern, right? So if we did that, we could potentially Well, I mean, actual fact, you could get this done, right? You could do it this way. It could be 3, 4. Now, you don't want a 4 to go that deep. All right, so then you might be back. If we were to go that deep, you might be back here thinking, well, okay, maybe the better count here is indeed 1, 2, 1, 2. If we're going golden zone here, if we break the 50 and go golden zone, I'd be leaning into the 1, 2 just based off of the depth. Here, you're kind of in between, right? It could be a B, could be a 2. You're kind of left, well, shit, right? I mean, so there's a good example, right? So this is worth noting, right? We get a swing, we get a retrace, right? As you'll hear me say, that's all the market ever does, right? You can break it down that way and make it simple. Okay, we swing, we retrace, right? So we're either going to break that high or that low, right? It's as simple as that. Well, once we start going and we break this high, okay, well, so you might have been looking at that saying, well, oh man, that's, I don't think I like this here because I'm not sure I like the count here. That could be an AB, could be 1, 2, could be 1, 2, or 1, 2, 3. We're going to have some diagonal. But if you don't take the first trade that's there, you miss the run, right? If you don't take this, get you right on the pivot. Okay, I've got that. Right on this 50, and you don't take that, well, you missed that ride because you were over analyzing. Oh, could be this, could be that, maybe. I'm not sure. I'm just showing you here. Don't let the Elliott keep you out of order of priorities, right? Number 1, what did the algo do last? Number 2, where's the geometry? Where's the geometry, right? Boom. And now, is there an Elliott count that's helpful here? Well, the Elliott count here is, it's a little open to interpretation, but what is not open to interpretation is that once that pivot is there and I've got an algo responding there, then I know I got 80% to get there, right? That we can just see, you can just see it happen. Now, as we hover around the median line, okay, right, we're still kind of in, wow, if we're going to come all the way down here, I would probably take this one out and then just redraw. Oh, so I would, if we were to come down here, well, of course, we'd have another golden corner, right? So I would, if and I don't have this, but you can see that progression. Oh, 1, 2, 1, now a deeper 2. Of course, if you're looking at that, if we come down here, you have to recognize this. That this could just as easily roll over here, and now we get a 5. But so you look at it and go, oh, fuck, man. Well, okay, that means a loser. Well, okay, yeah, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, of course, nobody likes to get stopped out and take a loss. Now, if you don't do something stupid and put your stop down here, it's not a knockout blow. Okay, so you got stopped out at the golden zone here. Now, okay, we're going to go lower. Well, you still would have the corner, right? I wouldn't abandon that, but would the 5 make sense there, right? Would you want to be looking to be a buyer here? Well, I might be a little suspect of that. Now, of course, the first thing you do, well, if I can get in there, is move it back here. Oh, shit. Let's just redraw it. Now, let me start from scratch. Okay, so now we're going to draw it from here. Get on there. Okay. All right, so now if we're coming down, now we're at the, here, I guess I got to take this one out. I want this one out. Okay, so now I got the bigger one. Okay, well, if I've got that now, so what would you be thinking here? Are you still thinking 1, 2? Probably not. 1, 2. Are you still thinking 1, 2, 3, 4? Probably not. So what are you thinking? I know what I'd be thinking. I'd be thinking ABC. Right, because that 5, right, does it fit? Right now, see, here's where the Elliott now is contributing. Here, it could go either way. If I get a 5 down here, not so much, right? Because then I know for a fact it's not 1, 2, right? This is not going to be the 2. Now, of course, I'm simplifying here. It could be the 2. I be careful. Right? You could have a W, X, Y, X. It could be, right? You'd have to wait and see what the internal structure of that is. But it would be less probable here. So if we simplify, if I come down here in a 5 and I've got a clean impulse into an A wave, hold your horses there, right? Because here the Elliott is guiding me as opposed to, well, I got a swing, I got a retrace, I got a 50. Okay, right? So you got a little low volume here. Now, if that comes a little bit lower here, now it's getting a little more serious, right? So now, what are we doing here? So then you have to ask yourself, now looking at that, would you be trying to squeeze an impulse into that? I wouldn't. I don't think it's there. I mean, I can get an impulse here. I got a clear 3 here. I can get an impulse here. I don't love it. I mean, just looking at it at this distance, 1, 2, You know, you're kind of squeezing a 3-4 in there. The whole point of this is just be careful about making assumptions, right? We all know Bitcoin is going to go, well, let me rephrase. High probability that Bitcoin will be higher than 60. What was our high here? Oh, Jesus, what did we get? Was it 666, 665? Right, higher than that 3 years from now, I think would be a reasonable bet. But so really the question is, where can I add here strategically? Well, if you're an Elliott trader, you want to think through these outcomes, right? So if it does this, then that. If it does this, then that, right? Right, that's why you want to have those alternates kind of lined up so that you're not going, oh shit, all right, well, I guess I got to wipe this thing clean here and start over again. If you do a little pre-planning here, well, you're not in that position. If it's happening fast or there's news or something, right? You've got the advantage of being prepared, I guess is what I'm saying. Right, so this cannot be eliminated. All right, now look how that fits in with that low volume node right there. All right, so that's area of interest. Right, keep that in mind. Oh shit, I'd probably do this as well. I'd wick off this pivot here, right in splitting the middle of it, right? This little pivot here, which was the proposed one already, right? So look at this, one shallow 2, right? 3, 4, 5. Don't make assumptions, right? This is still very vulnerable to, which essentially is just getting us back to the idea here that you can't remove the possibility yet, right? Emphasis yet. I can't remove the possibility that the 4 is not in down here, and I've got more to come. A lot of Elliotticians, I get this comment, or people write me, or members will say, well, I'm not so sure, right? It looks very vulnerable to roll over. Well, it is. It is very vulnerable, right? So if I put that, oh shit, where'd it go? Put that back on, it really, you start to see it. And then, right, as I've talked many times, right, you'd have better balance here between this. Right, it would balance it out. Now you look here and you go, Jesus, what in the hell would make Bitcoin drop down to? I mean, even if let's not assume we're going this far, we could do it through that triangle, right? So if we're going to do something like this, what would cause that? I don't know that it matters. So we don't want to try and guess, right? It's just once it starts to move, how is it moving? What's the structure, right? Do I get that? Oh, now. Yeah, right. So how far is it? How deep is it? Still possibly a 2? Well, it certainly wouldn't be a 4. So if it were that deep, now you're thinking, oh, now what comes off of it? What are you thinking there? Right? Are you thinking, oh, that would be a good one? Are you thinking, oh, okay, we're in. We're just going to have a very shallow Y? Probably not. Right? Probably not. You'd be back to maybe 1, 2. It's just lots of ways this can go. There is no absolute, I'm sure of it. So you got to be prepared to react to what the market does. Excuse me. Okay. All right. I think we covered that. Oh, let's see. The one other thing, I was just going to look at it here down on a 60. I don't want to go on too long here. All right. So here's the same idea, just pushing this over. Right. So you'll note, as I was showing earlier, I'm just see if I can get that. I'm just wicking off the B high here, right, to create this range, which is all that is, right? From the prior all-time high to the B high, right? Which we went up and now have broken, right? Here's the liquidation wick. Now we're sitting, so let's just dig in there a little bit. Now this, of course, right? We talked about this last week. This is just it's kind of a pain in the ass, right? So, I mean, it was traded there, but, if you do it here, oh boy, that ABC really, you can even see the 5 here. The ABC looks much better. This looks like a 5. Well, it's a little wonky because you had another liquidation wick here, but now, do I have an impulse there? Absolutely not. All right, no. Oh, God. Well, so even if you were trying to dig one out there, I think you could probably squeeze something in here. You could probably get something like this. Obviously, it's a ridiculously big degree. But you might be able to get a little 5 in there. All right, so if I've got a 5 in there, well, okay, where would that fit in? Does this look like a 1, 2? No, it really doesn't. It really doesn't, all right? It looks more like we've just done it. If anything, that would be an ABC up here. Possibly an X. This is just it's just annoying that we get that, but it's just, you don't get to pick necessarily your battlefield, right? That's what's there. That's what happened. Does it fuck up our count? Yeah, it does. So it's because it goes down and then up so fast and then takes out the high. So within this swing, you break this low, you break this high. So how do you account for it? I'm tentatively kind of looking at it this way. So 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see like you had it. It really screws up the count. You had the potential. It was here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You had a potential there. Then you put this right in the middle of it. Oh, you can almost see how that could play. It looks like you could go from here. You could go 1. Oh, this would be A, B, C. It looks like you might have to do this WX. A, B, oh shit, can we get that in there? Well, you kind of got it again. You got this, and then you got this as well. It's just it's not clear. I mean, just broad strokes looks like a 3, right? All the market ever does, right? You can always simplify it that way. Looks like just another 3. And I think this is technical, which actually makes it even more annoying, right? We're right to a 50, and we're a little shy of that. Could it be a front run? There, right? This is the dominant high relative to this pivot. Front run, it's certainly possible. That's not so far that it couldn't be. But now it's ugly, right? So there's nothing here where you can really lean into it and go, I got it. I see exactly what it is. The one constant is that we're holding in this range, right? See, being demonstrated here. So you've got a lot of scenarios here that are kind of leaving you, with uncertainty here. So when in doubt, right? There's no reason to force a trade here. This feels like forcing, right? All of this has felt like because it would be ideal. Could we just get a simple retrace? Could we get something down here, right, in the 50s? Then it's not. Oh shit, I'm not sure. Let's see what happens. I mean, I might even factor that in right in here. Just bring it down here. I'll keep it relatively simple, right? Let's get down here. Now it gets much more interesting, right? I got structure. I've got volume nodes here. I mean, you can see the support and resistance all the way down where you're going to find it. Obviously, we're building a base here, right? So we could launch from this. If we start coming down, well, it's not going to be hard to spot these. Where they're going to come in. Right, do the same thing. Where can we expect the support, right? And we get down here, we're in our technical range. Mark them off, right? It's not hard to spot them. Now I'm in log scale. Right? It wouldn't change dramatically here. If I go out of log scale, same difference. But now look, the one thing that does change in log when I come out of log scale, which is worth noting, which is why I had this. Look where the 1 lines up. So therefore, you've got that structure to play with here, the high volume node here as well, and then you've got that structure right in front of the 50. You have the same thing here, right? So you have the same thing at the B. You've got the B just below the 65, right? So if we come down here, this no longer are we wondering, should I be a buyer here? I'd start here and keep buying here and out here. If it gets offered. All right, so this what is this low here? This is a good area to put an alert on. Let's call it 59.6, right? We start coming down into the high 50s. Now it's going to get more interesting and more attractive for what I think for most people watching here would be a place to add to your existing position. All right, how am I doing on? Oh shit, 33 minutes already. I think that covers us here in terms of the hope would be it's. Right, it seems weird, right, to be hoping it comes down, right, so you can get a better entry. But that's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see that come down here because then, whether you're sitting here or not with a limit order here, the thing I'm looking for is that, right? Can I get into the 3? Can I get into the 1 of the next leg up? Whether it's the 1 of the 5 or the 1 of the 3 or the 1 of the whatever comes off, right? I'm just looking for a 5 off a technical pivot. Here, I've just kind of got slop. Okay, let's see. 34. I didn't want to go too long today. Did I cover everything? I think I did. Okay, so let me bring over Litecoin. Okay, so I've done this here in advance here, and I just thought, right, so I've been introducing this more and more here, well, certainly amongst members, but for YouTube subs as well. This is just an incredibly powerful piece of software here. And I've demonstrated a lot of times, and as I've mentioned before, for YouTube subs or even members here, you want a little support the channel here. If you were interested in Motive Wave, if you click on the link that's in our link tree, that kicks us a little. We get a little kicker off of that. Were you to pursue and just decide you wanted to make the investment into Motive Wave, and don't freak out that it's $10,000 a year. It's not. It's very reasonably priced. So I've done the work here. So this is coming off of the COVID low, but I thought I would just give you a quick demo. So if those of you that are kind of interested in how Motive Wave makes things easier for you as an Elliottian, great, stick around. We'll maybe spend 5-7 minutes on this. If you're not interested in that, well, I suggest two things, right? Check your count on Litecoin, see if it matches here. You could pause the video and say, I don't care about the Motive Wave. So pause the video, get a screen capture here, see how that relates to your count. But if you're curious here, I thought we'd just kind of do it from scratch here. There's a couple of things to note here and good examples of why you can't always necessarily just Motive Wave will count for you, but that's not the way to use it. That's really not what it's designed to do. It's designed to make the work of the Elliottian just more efficient. So for example, here, let's do it very quickly. So if I was looking at this and here's my COVID low, here's my pivot high, I just do it like that and say, okay, well, show me the impulse there. Well, so remember that there's just the software, the algorithms in here are not going to match the algorithm between your ears. So there are going to be spots where you're going to look at this and go, well, the computer's trying to follow the set of rules here, but this, there's going to be areas where it's open to interpretation. So for example, as I look at this ending set of swings here looks like a clear 5, right? It looks like a clear diagonal. So if I were to move the 4 here, right, then I get this clean 5. Now we get overlap here, so of course it's a diagonal to finish, and I can have a diag in the 5th, so that works. So then you have to look at that right there and say, well, do I have a 3 there? Because at this distance, it looks like you might have a 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And that's how at this distance, Motive Wave is interpreting that. So it's giving you it's giving you a shit, that's not much of a finish. So I don't like this at all, right? So there's being a good example where I would look at that and go, no, I don't like that, and I want to use that 5 to finish it. And so if that's good, well, how's my 3? So the first thing I would do is just decompose the impulse in there. Okay, so how's my impulse here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That looks good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That looks good. 1, 2. Oh, let's see. How am I going to do that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Extensions in the 5th. Okay, just some things that you see me do a lot of here. I like to wick off the 1, 2. I also like to wick off the 4th wave as well. It's just these are structural points that I want to pay attention to. So looking at that, so I would out on the higher degree. So here we'll keep that in white. I'll take these down. Let's do these in green, just so I can get that separation and always alternating degrees. And then when I finish here, well, then I'd look at that and say, okay, well, decompose the ending diagonal in there. Oh. I don't even like that. I'm going to do it this way. All right. It's trying to use that little cluster up here as the 4, 5, but I would use that as part of the finish of the diag. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I like this finish better. Well, it's kind of an ugly start on the 1, but I don't think all of crypto had the same problem here. And this also looks like a 5. So you got to dig down here to a smaller degree to accommodate, well, hey, can I get 5 in that? And can I get 3 in that? And how am I going to get 3 in that? Well, it looks like working backwards, I've got a W. It looks like I've got an ABC. So I can see a little ABC in here. So it looks like WXY. So just looking at that, if I decompose the combination, there's an example. I would do it this way. Right now, as we break that down, because I want to use the ABC to finish that with, right? So ABC, ABC. Well, let's go down to the lower time frame. Let's try a 6. Okay, so let's first come down here. 1, 2. This would have to be. See, there's not a 5 to finish that. So, oh shit. You could do this 2 ways, right? So you could look at that 2 and you say, okay, you could just decompose the correction, right? So A, B, C. All right, so you're gonna have to pull the 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't like the finish. So it looks to me like it's an A, B, C finish. So right off the bat, it makes me want to go into a combination because I want to finish with an A, B, C. Looks like a cleaner finish. So Let's do the combo. Oh, you have to do it this way. Again, I prefer it this way. Right. Again, I don't know that it matters, but I'm just kind of demonstrating here. It doesn't matter now, but just how you might work with motive wave here. Okay, I got a good finish here. So if that's, I think this is actually an easier count than Bitcoin's. Let me go, let me pull back here. Let's go back to a 10 so I can get the whole thing in there. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If that's the case, well, of course, what have I got there? Right? I'm starting from the COVID low. There's my 1. Now my 2, right? Certainly possible. Let's bring that back. Now, obviously, the implication would be if this count's going to hold, that the 3 much higher, 4 much higher, well, the 5 obviously much higher, but that's going to be way that, well, here, we won't worry about that. That's going to be way off the chart. Okay, so 1, 2. Let's focus on this. I'm going to open that up here. All right, so 3. Oh, come here. I want you in, where'd you go here? Oh, where have I got you? Here, let's come back here. I want you in the semi-log. Oh, I know what it is. It's not giving me it because I can't see it. There it is. I want you in semi-log scale. Okay, so coming down for the 2 here, I'm going to take the channel off because that's just kind of screwing us up a little bit. Okay, so we are in semi-log. Now let me reset our framing. Okay, so if this is the 1, this is the 2. Well, again, just first glance, decompose the correction. How's it look? A, B, Well, how can I finish that? Let's decompose the impulse there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, looks like it would be ABC. 1, 2. You're going to have a skinny finish down there. I'm on a 10-hour here, but just okay. So let's put that. Oh, let's go down a degree. Let's decrease that. Let's put this, just force of habit. I do these in yellow just to draw my eye to the correction. Okay, it's not the cleanest 5 I've ever seen finish. Could probably work a combo here, but again, it doesn't matter. So as I look here, what's important is where'd we go? So if I go 2 to the 1, we did a 50 to the tick, or within a tick or 2. Okay, so this is easier, I think, in Bitcoin. The finish here is a bit easier to interpret. So if it's 1, 2, right to a 50, right, as opposed to Bitcoin, which did a 38, 1, 2, right? I've got a good start. Well, what would I be anticipating is coming off of that? Well, do I have an impulse here, right? I've got this same kind of problem. I've got that crazy wick. Now let's go back to the 6 and take a look. Okay, if this is my 2, I need a 1, 2. Well, so before I even put an Elliott count on that, the first thing I'm going to do is just look at the retracement. Say, oh shit, come here. Get you right on it. That should surprise exactly 0 people. Not right. Do you note it's not the 618, right? Golden zone. So here's our target up here. So of course, what do I have right there? I have a golden corner, which I can put on right here. So I've got a golden corner with targets up above, right? I can pull that up. So I can see, right? So that wouldn't be the 1618. I know the negative 100 is going to be higher. So if it's 1, 2, and I'm working on the 1, 2, right? Well, remains to be seen. I've got all of this potential here. So coming off of the golden corner here, I've got 80% probability, right? We all know this, right? So now let me just strip that bare and we'll go back to the Elliott count. So what do I have here? Well, let's do the same thing. Let's see if I can get an impulse into this. So I'd go right to here, 2, 3. All right, let's do it this way. Now, if I come over here, let's decompose the impulse and see how it looks, right? Do we like it? Oh, it looks good to me. 1, 2, looks like I'm gonna have to use that little 3, 4 there to get my 5. So I've got a nice 1 wave here. All right, so let's, again, just kind of force a habit, things that I would encourage you to do the same thing. We'll go to a light blue there. Okay, so I've got a 1, I've got a 2. Same thing. How does it look? Let's decompose the correction. All right, so you got to deal with this. Oh shit! I mean, it wouldn't matter how you do it. I'd probably do it this way, right? These little pump wicks or liquidation wicks, they obviously screw up your count. Although it wouldn't invalidate here. We just have an expanded B, but I really think it's. Right, if you just, again, if you went to a line chart, you're not going to see that. ABC into the 2, and I've got a perfectly technical pivot here. So same thing. Where's my probability zone? So I'm going to go, all right, show me the 3 to the 1. Well, I got to make 100, right, to qualify. Well, that would be your first target, right? Remember, 3 doesn't have to be the longest, just can't be the shortest. Well, there's my 1618. 175. So reasonable target here. Now, if I put that set of median lines back on, how does that look? Okay, well, if I'm going to get up here in an impulse, right? I got to get there in 5. Decompose the impulse, right? Looks like I got to start on a 1, 2. Well, let's go down a little bit lower, right? Again, do you see how it's saving time here? So sometimes it's going to decompose. You're going to go, oh, shit, I don't like that. That's why we don't recommend this for new Elliotticians. It's much more powerful to you as a trained Elliottician, because you'll look at something and recognize, oh no, I don't like that, or I see a better solution here. So this being as a 1-2, well, let's decompose it one level and just see how it breaks it all down. So I got an ABC here, that looks good. I got to start on a 1-2. How about the first one? Can I get an impulse in there? Don't love it, right? So I might look here and go, does that look any better? Well, you can see why it wants to call this. Well, you can see it here, right? This is actually kind of interesting. Right? It wants to do this, right? You can see a clear impulse here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this would have to be 1, 2, 3, right? So I'm kind of slowly getting into an alternate here as a possibility. If that's a completed impulse, I've got a pretty good 3 here, and it looks like I get another impulse here. So I've got a candidate for an ABC. So let's just consider that, right? So right now, if I break this down, well, the other thing I might do, just to double check, let's decompose the leading diag, since we could have a leading diag here. Now that's horrible, right? You can't even make it work. So careful here, much like Bitcoin. So here, it's the Elliott. Let me get that off of there. It's trying to make this work. So if I go, let's go to an hourly and see if I break it down here, does that impulse get any better? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can see the problem with it. So let's look at that, asking Motive Wave to do it. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's going to be your 5. So how are you going to finish that? Well, it's not going to be an impulse, ending diag. Okay, right. So you can look at it and go, okay, ABC, 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 ABC. Ugh. A, B, C already just looks hideous, right? Does it work? Well, yeah, that's even you put a channel on that, right? So you have this big rip, this big extension here in the 5th. Does it work? Well, maybe you can make a case for that. But if this is 1, 2, what did we just do here, right? You'd be working off of this not as the one from the low, but this is the one from the low. Oh, pardon me, 1, 2. So you'd have impulse, correction, impulse. That doesn't work, right? You wouldn't. That's not what you want here. So it just creates the possibility that what we've done here is we'll just look at the alternates. Okay, so what's the alternate here? Right? Could this be just part of a larger correction? So if I were to here now go correction, A, B, maybe. All right, let's just play it out. Oh, what do I want here? I want that. Now, if I do this as a 3, decompose correction. Now, the ABC looks a lot better. Now, let's decompose it one level. ABC, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so how about my A? Oh, come here. Decompose the impulse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. B, C. All right, it starts to look pretty good as a candidate for something bigger. Now, could be the B, could be we're just part of a bigger correction. So the possibility here, if I start to pull back out here, let's go back to that 3 hour. It's much like Bitcoin. I've got a 1, I've got a 2, but I don't have a great start to this impulse. So possibility, right? The 2 is going to come deeper, right? And we're going to end up with a deeper 2. And we'd have possibly a correction. So let's do it this way. So if I put the 2 down here, decompose combination. All right, now the ABC, all of this, let's go down one level, right? Well, you're kind of stuck with this fucker. Right, I still would do it that way. A, B, C, A, B, C, A, B. Now, do I get a big C down here? Well, you got to be mindful of how far that is likely to go. Oh, let's go 2 to the 1. All right, so here's my high probability zone. We're coming down here towards this. Now we're back towards that 618. Could come lower, right? 786. We don't know, right? So you just got to be prepared for both. But so it's how quickly. Now, I can do this much more quickly if I'm not trying to talk or show someone through it. I mean, you can get through something like this very, very quickly. That's the big advantage of it, and why I kind of show you here where I'm changing it on the fly. It's not designed to do your thinking for you. It's designed to be an efficiency tool. So something to keep in mind here, that while we just looked at this count here, 1, 2, we don't have the great start there that we were looking at, right? So you can make this all work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is good. A, B, C into the 2. I got a 1, I got a 2, but I don't get the good 1 that I'm looking for there. So careful about those assumptions, those bullish assumptions. Here, the Elliott wave is guiding you. It's like, whoa, slow down. Because right off the bat, you're thinking, 1, 2, 1, 2. Not so fast. Do the work. Do the subdivision. See, it's easy out here at this distance. Oh, shit, 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C, right? But now break it down. Break it down. Does it qualify? Can you make that work? Right? So you can say, well, shit, why do I have to do all that? Well, I just showed you why. Because you can end up here going, wait a minute, that doesn't work. So what is the alternate here? That's the point of doing that, right? Now, of course, you don't need motive wave to do it, right? So if you're a skilled Elliottician, you can do it on any piece of software, right? Anything that will let you label. This is just a tool, an efficiency tool. So something to keep in mind. We shall see. We'll come back and visit this next week. Does this play as a 1, 2, 1, 2, and we're just getting a very funky start here to this thing? Or are we going to roll over and go deeper here and get a complex correction? Remains to be seen. Going to be interesting to watch. But this, right now, I'll be watching that closely. Okay, guys, I think that probably does us enough. We covered Bitcoin, Litecoin. Here's a little more motive wave teaching. Oh, it's not for everybody, right? But it's a tool, right? You certainly don't need it, but it certainly is an efficiency enhancement if you're interested in that kind of thing. All right, so with that, I think I'll wrap it there. I'll be back Monday. We've got our live stream. Those have been going really well, so we'll do the live stream. That's alts on Monday, traditionals on Tuesday, Mighty Cryptos on Wednesday, and then I'll be back next Friday. All right, guys, you guys have a good weekend, and I'll catch you on Monday.